up, Booger Beans? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures with Boob. I'm Tanner. Sydney's in Edmonton right now. Booger can't be in here because it's too dangerous for her to be out here. And today we are ripping all this sheet metal off the side of the bus. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't take the sheet metal off the side of the bus, but we did at the back corner over there, and the insulation that was in the wall is basically slumped down like 2 to 4 inches. So this top portion of the wall here, you just have basically cold steel transferring cold right to the next set of cold steel. So that's not very good for insulation, and it's going to be hard when we're here late October, early November camping. So today we're going to start ripping that off. So I've got an air hammer, and I've got a couple different chisels to hopefully grind them and pop them all off. I know it's going to be really freaking noisy. I've got this air hammer going, the heater going, and the air compressor here in the bus, but let's get to it. Just like this air hammer is about to smash these rivets, go down, smash that like button, and give us a subscribe. It doesn't hurt you, but it helps us a long ways. Thanks, guys. So on the structural rivets, which are the ones that actually go right up and down the windows, I'm having a bit of trouble getting in behind the rivet. So what I went and did is I actually ground one side of this like V chisel completely flat so that I can get it right against the wall and get it behind the rivet. If you look on this one, you can see there's kind of a peak in the middle, but then I can't get it against the wall enough to get behind the rivet. So I went and just ground that flat and gave it a bit more of a point to get in behind the rivet. If you're gonna do this, be careful, because if you grind it too skinny, this chisel tip will just break off. So just grind it just enough that you can get that flat against the wall and get it in behind the rivets to pop them up. So just one thing I found on these structural rivets, which they're quite a bit bigger and quite a bit stronger than the other rivets that you see just along the top edge of the bus here, is to take the center punch first and punch out the middle of all the rivets. And by doing that, it gets rid of the little bar that's in the middle of the rivets, which allows the rivet to bend, or when you're cutting through it with the chisel, it cuts it off easier. So just take that a pointed bit, or even a screwdriver and a hammer, and just punch all those out first, and then take your air chisel and chisel them off, and that helps a lot to help pop them off. So this is basically what I was talking about. All these gaps here that this insulation has basically moved around, worn down, and now that's just letting basically cold air straight into the bus. So when we do insulation, either we're gonna spray foam it, or we're gonna make sure that the insulation comes all the way up under the windowsill and then all the way down the sides. And that will help to prevent any issues. That being said, there is actually some condensation inside the wall here, which not very great, so we'll have to figure out how we're gonna deal with that. But yeah, we got that first panel off. Yeah, now we'll just keep moving forward. Here's another real big gap in the insulation right there. Another good one here. I don't know if you guys can see that, a little dark there, but so that's basically, that's fine for a school bus, not a big deal. But for a house, obviously we don't want to have that basically just cold air there. It's gonna push right through the bus and you're gonna feel that cold really fast. So we got that all done. With the air chisel or the air hammer, whatever you want to call it, it worked great. It popped off those rivets, no problem. Basically, what took us about an hour to do by hand and with the drill took literally almost to do the entire thing with the air hammer, about the same amount of time. It took about an hour to do one panel with a drill and a crowbar and a hammer, and it took me about 2 hours to do the rest of the bus with the air hammer. So if you guys are looking at doing rivets yourself, I would definitely look into either renting an air hammer and air compressor, or finding a buddy that has one and using it, because it will speed up the process a ton. So now I think the next step in the process is probably going to be removing all that insulation and then trying to spray foam it or something. I don't know where we are at yet, but I'll get back to you and we'll go from there. Okay, booger beans, so after lots of debate and thinking and research on the internet and that kind of stuff, I have decided we're gonna pull out all the roof sheet metal. For mostly the reason that I think it's gonna act like a huge heat sink. We are gonna be paneling the roof, but with these big sheets, even behind the panels, they're gonna suck that heat right to the ribs. That's basically send all the heat out of the bus, but also it works the other way too. I feel that if we're in the summer, if we're in the desert, something like that, the top of the bus is gonna get hot, which is gonna heat up the ribs of the bus, which is then gonna send all that heat into the bus through the roof. So I'm thinking that that is gonna be a bit of an issue. So we're gonna take it out. And I know it's gonna be a lot of work to take it out, but I think in the long run, I'm gonna be happy we did it. And I think it will be just better for the bus in general. So that's what we're up to now. We're gonna start taking out the roof panels. So we got all of the rivets cut except basically 3 in each row. I still have in there basically just to hold the panel against the roof. On the end and at the very front, the edges are actually screwed in. So we'll have to come back with the impact driver or drill and just unscrew all of those. But tonight I just calculated here just under 400 rivets tonight in just under 2 hours. So I started at 6:14, it's 8:05 now. So 400 rivets in 2 hours, that's pretty darn good. So that just kind of goes to say that if you are removing rivets from your bus, go get yourself an air hammer and air chisel, or cold chisel, because it will be so much faster than any other technique. Unless you're wanting to like reuse it, because it does kind of like mangle the steel a little bit, but it is so much faster. It's going to save you so much heartache and so much pain. It is a little rough on the shoulders to be up there hammering away on all those, but we got those done. So tomorrow night, I guess we'll start taking them down. We got to unscrew all the speakers and all of the lights. We're not going to be using any of the lights. We are probably going to reuse the speakers because we think it's kind of cool to be able to have music throughout the bus while you're driving and also while you're just hanging out at camp. So we're probably going to reuse the speakers, but the lights, we're just going to take them out, probably throw them out. I don't think we're going to reuse any of those. But that's tomorrow night's problem. So let's get some sleep and we'll deal with it tomorrow. So we are currently just pulling out all of the screws out of all of the lights and the back and front bulkheads, and that's probably all we'll get to tonight. Really, we won't get much more than that. But that's what we're doing. What is up, booger beans? We are back in the bus, and it's cold out here. And hopefully tonight is the last night we have to deal with rivets. We're starting to take the ceiling down. The insulation is just falling out of the roof though, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, so hopefully the next one doesn't. But yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna start up time lapse here and start ripping out the rest of the ceiling and go from there. And hopefully the bus warms up. We took the whole ceiling out and our bus looks absolutely awful now.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in on this episode. We removed like 1,200 rivets on this episode, so that's pretty cool.
I did.
We've got a ton of steel from the roof and from the sides that we are going to be taking to the metal recyclers, hopefully on the weekend, so that will be on our next episode.
Oh, we're just filming that.
Yeah. And whatever money we get for that is whatever money we can use to start framing the walls, because maybe some of the episodes on the bus are going to start to spread out a little bit here. Just with Christmas coming up and that kind of stuff, it's getting a little bit more pricey. So the videos might be a little bit more spread out. We might do some geocaching or some fishing and stuff like that for a little bit.
The next steps are a lot more expensive than all the steps up till now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the next steps start to become quite a bit more expensive.
Like taking out the bus seats, it's pretty cheap to do.
Yeah, exactly. The floor was $500, and the walls would probably be another $1,000, and then the roof on top of that. So you know, it takes time, especially with Christmas. It's expensive, but as always, guys,
Send us money.
thanks for tuning in.
What?
Send us money if you want.
Link below.
Go down, hit the subscribe button, give us a like if you enjoyed this. Also, comment on our bus. We still need a name for the bus. We're mulling names around between me and Sydney, but we still haven't found something that quite fits. So any of your guys' idea would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, anything else, babe?
Nope.
All right, have a great night, guys. Thanks for tuning in.